The story begins with Tomo confessing her love to her best friend, Junichiro. However, Jun doesn't see her as a girl, so he assumes she loves him as a friend. To hide her embarrassment, Tomo pretends that's what she meant. The next day in class, Tomo reflects on her failed confession, and a classmate mentions it's not surprising since Tomo always rejected playing like a girl and preferred having fun with boys. However, Tomo doesn't want it to stay that way, so her classmate advises her to act more feminine. Afterward, Tomo approaches Jun and tries to do what her friend suggested, but he comments that she looks like an old man saying, "Okay, Rita." Annoyed, she punches him, starting another familiar brawl. When she gets home, Tomo's dad notices her bruises and asks if Jun beat her again. The girl emphasizes that yes, he did. Her dad disapproves and makes her start training. The following day, Jun keeps insisting that Tomo forgive him since they've known each other since childhood. When he says he can't stand a moment without her, Tomo blushes and forgives him. At lunchtime, Masuzu forces Jun to eat with them, even though he and Tomo don't get along well. She finds it ridiculous that Tomo and Jun aren't dating since they're always together, which just makes Tomo more anxious. Although it may seem strange, only Jun thinks this situation is normal when his friend Tatsumi asks how far he's gone with Tomo, assuming they are dating. However, since they've practiced karate together since childhood, Jun thinks Tatsumi means that and discusses their fights. Masuzu overhears everything and tells Tomo who is lying down. When she goes to his room, she ends up punching the boy again. After class, Masuzu runs into Jun waiting inside the school since it's raining. The two are essentially waiting for Tomo to share an umbrella since she's the only one who brought one. Masuzu asks Jun why he didn't join the karate club, and he replies that he already practices at Tomo's dad's dojo and isn't interested in gender-separated clubs. Masuzu then asks Jun what he will do when Tomo gets a boyfriend, leaving him irritated as he shoves her into the rain. After that, Tomo arrives, but, feeling embarrassed to share an umbrella with Jun, she chooses Masuzu. However, her friend insists she has to share it with her beloved. They walk together, and Tomo hesitates to get too close because she just came from karate practice and fears she smells bad. However, when Jun approaches to smell her, Tomo becomes flustered and runs off, not caring about getting wet. When he catches up, he sees her shirt is soaked, and realizing he shouldn't have, he runs away in embarrassment. The next day, Tomo joins the school's karate club, and we see she's so strong that she has to train with the boys' club. She is practicing with the team captain, who we can see has a crush on her. After the girl knocks him out, they take a break to talk, where he comments on her feminine qualities, making her very happy that someone sees her as a girl. They hit it off, which stirs jealousy among other girls who like the captain, so they challenge Tomo to meet after school the next day. The next day, Masuzu mocks Jun, saying Tomo has a new friend, which annoys him. When he sees Tomo, he asks about him, and she shows a picture from the karate club. However, the captain is so handsome that Jun mistakenly thinks he's a girl, causing his worries to disappear. Then he asks how she would feel if Masuzu had a boyfriend and didn't spend time with her. Tomo responds she would feel a bit lonely, which Jun agrees with, feeling relieved. Afterward, Tomo warns Masuzu about the girls who want to fight her. But once the protagonist explains everything, her friend says the girls want a verbal showdown, not a physical fight. However, with a scary expression, Masuzu says if they do anything bad to Tomo, she'll handle it. That afternoon, Tomo meets those girls who are already quite scared because they heard about her strength. However, they quickly clarify they actually like her, which makes Tomo understand they want dating advice. She feels happy that someone finally wants her counsel. One day on the bus, an old man gropes Tomo, and Jun quickly sees what's happening. He grabs the creep and takes him to the police. On the way home, Tomo still feels strange about what happened, and Jun tells her she should stop wearing skirts, which angers her. So the next day, Tomo tells Masuzu what happened, and she worries for her friend. However, Tomo assures her that Jun has already taken care of the situation. Feeling calmer, Masuzu asks why Tomo wears such a short skirt to school, to which Tomo says it's easier for her to move around. The girl then gets an idea and suggests that Tomo should take off her shorts and just wear the skirt like all the other girls. Although feeling shy, the protagonist agrees, so Masuzu goes to Jun and tells him Tomo is waiting for him to go home together. But when he sees her, he's very surprised and tries not to look at her on the bus. He feels like everyone is staring at him, so he protects her. However, when she moves to the front, a gust of wind blows her skirt up, and Jun sees something he shouldn't have, causing him to faint. When he wakes up, he insists he has no right to dictate how she should dress, but comments that she definitely gets a reaction out of him, which makes Tomo happy. The next day, Masuzu teases Jun about everything that happened between them and states it will take him a while to recover. He gets annoyed and flicks her forehead. Later, while Tomo and Masuzu are talking, they see Carol being surrounded by boys. Carol is the most popular girl in school, and nearly every boy is interested in her. That afternoon, Tomo runs into Machio and Carol, who tells the protagonist that she is Machio's fiancé and assumes Tomo is a boy. However, Machio politely corrects her, explaining that Tomo is a girl, which confuses Carol and makes her upset upon realizing how much Misaki likes Tomo, thus viewing Tomo as a rival. Tomo discusses what she overheard with Masuzu, who realizes she wants to defeat Tomo. Masuzu hatches a plan to get Jun and Tomo together quickly, instructing Carol on how to make Tomo jealous. Therefore, Carol approaches Jun, asking him to train her to take a guy down. Despite finding it odd, he agrees but quickly realizes she's terrible at sports. When Tomo sees them so close, she rushes to confront Jun, but this makes Carol realize that Tomo isn't a threat to her relationship since she truly loves Jun. Thus, Carol concedes, telling the protagonist she no longer sees her as an enemy. The following day, after spending time with Masuzu to discuss their situation, Carol asks Tomo to be her friend. Although she's afraid to ask, having always been rejected by other girls, this time is different. Tomo agrees to be her friend, which makes Carol extremely happy, especially since Masuzu also accepts her, commenting that Carol seems quite affluent. Later, Tomo tells Jun about what happened and asks him if he's interested in Carol. Jun denies it, but when they talk about Masuzu, he accidentally reveals he dated her in the past. This gets Tomo curious, and she drags Masuzu to the rooftop to ask about her brief relationship with Jun. Masuzu explains that they dated for just 3 days. Jun had proposed because he was popular among the girls, and she thought it would be good for her reputation. However, that 3-day relationship was a disaster because all Jun wanted to do was practice sports. On the 3rd day, she decided to break up with him, but before she could, Jun ended it, which is one of the reasons she dislikes him. She wanted to be the one who ended it. Realizing that they don't feel anything for each other except hatred, Tomo feels more at ease. Afterward, Masuzu annoys Jun, saying she already informed Tomo about their past relationship. However, she remembers that Jun ignored Tomo for a whole year, but when he broke up with Masuzu, he returned to be Tomo's best friend. This strikes Masuzu as suspicious, but Jun simply tells her to leave him alone. The next day, Jun and Tomo encounter Misaki at the school gate, and for the first time, Jun discovers that Misaki is a boy. Without thinking, he punches him. Tomo orders him to apologize, leading to a challenge for a fight, which annoys Tomo again. Afterward, Jun questions Tomo on why she is friends with the captain of the boys' karate club. He cannot believe it when she reveals she transferred to the boys' club since he assumed they would be separated. After school, Jun heads home alone because Tomo decides to spend time with her friends. However, at the bus stop, he runs into Misaki, and they chat about how amazing Tomo is. Jun admits to Misaki that he isn't worthy of her, which explains his admiration. However, their pleasant moment ends when Jun warns Misaki not to share what they discussed with Tomo. The next day, Tomo and Misaki talk about Jun, and she feels they have become friends, making her happy since whenever she introduced Jun to any boy, they got intimidated, which does not surprise Misaki, who is also afraid of him. Soon afterward, Masuzu encourages Tomo to invite Jun on a date, claiming he will always comply with her wishes. So Tomo invites him, and he happily agrees. That afternoon, Carol and Masuzu pressure Tomo to go shopping since she only has boys' clothes. They help her pick an outfit that isn't overly feminine to ensure Tomo feels comfortable. When the day of the date arrives, Jun notices a change in Tomo but says nothing as they go to play baseball. Afterward, while they are vibing, Tomo invites him to karaoke. She feels incredibly embarrassed and doesn't know how to start, blaming Jun for always going along with her ideas. However, the boy points out that ever since they were kids, she always took the initiative for even the dangerous activities, and in the end, they always had a blast. With her embarrassment falling away, she starts singing childhood songs, entertaining Jun so much that he records a video of her. The next day, Tomo's friends find the video funny, and when they discover that Jun recorded her singing, they rush over to watch it. However, Tomo shows up and puts the girls to run another day. After observing how affectionate girls usually are with each other, Tomo expresses her desire to have that bond. They've never been like that, because they've known each other since baby, since their mothers have been best friends forever. Then Masuzu looks for a solution and sends Carol to hug Tomo, which ends up happening quite frequently. Each time she sees Tomo, she hugs her, and over the days, this begins to annoy Masuzu, which Tomo eventually notices. So they head up to the rooftop, where the protagonist apologizes for not being affectionate and starts hugging Masuzu. However, since Tomo is too strong, her friend regrets it and questions why she's never affectionate with Jun, despite him being so clingy with her. This leads Tomo to confess she never noticed that. After school, she tries to follow her friend's advice, but the boy is so startled by her affection that he immediately distances himself, insisting that she can't do that. Tomo complains because he does that all the time, but he says only he's allowed to do that. Upset, Tomo punches him. On Saturday morning, Jun wakes up Tomo, and she can't believe he's in her room, so she starts shouting at him. The boy apologizes, explaining that her father sent him to wake her up. The commotion stirs up Akemi, Tomo's mom, who is just as intimidating as her daughter. At breakfast, Jun asks where her dad is, but Akemi responds that he's always in the dojo because he still feels shy around her, even after years of marriage. To prove it, she goes to the dojo with them, and as soon as she touches her husband, he blushes and falls to the floor. Afterward, Tomo tells Jun that her dad has always acted this way with her mom and thinks it's silly. However, Jun becomes serious and asks if it's wrong for a boy to behave like that with a girl he likes. Tomo replies that in the past, even embarrassed, he always showed up when she needed him. Another day, Carol invites Tomo to lunch, wanting to ask for some love advice. So she eats alone with Jun, who is very pleased while Tomo feels embarrassed by all the classmates looking at them. Carol tells Tomo she will soon understand her love issues. At that moment, Misaki arrives and starts treating Carol like her little sister. Then when he leaves, Masuzu comments that Carol's love problem might be worse than Tomo's since Misaki sees her as a little sister. That afternoon, Tomo's other friends come for help, revealing the leader of a third-year gang wants to date Ogawa. Rumors say that girls who reject him suffer greatly because of it. Tomo accompanies the girls to confront him, who insists on asking out Tomo and gets a kick from her for doing so, which makes them look like they are in awe of the protagonist. Later, we see the delinquent gathering his gang to confront Tomo. However, Jun overhears everything and decides to intervene. We watch as 5 delinquents approach the protagonist, and they all kneel, apologizing, which confuses her. When she discusses this with Jun, she finds it odd that he has a bruise on his cheek. He says he hurt himself falling down, and she remarks that he's always injuring himself since they were kids. Another day, Carol invites Masuzu and Tomo to spend the weekend with her. She draws a map to get to her house, and they're surprised when they arrive, only for Carol's mother to confuse Tomo for a boy. Once inside, they spend the day drinking tea and playing games, where they realize the rich girl is exceptionally good at these games. The following day, Tomo panics because it's the day before the midterm exams, and she completely forgot about them. Jun offers to help her study, but Masuzu claims she's first in the rankings and takes Tomo to study at Carol's house. Her mother is shocked to see Tomo because she looks so much like Akemi, and she has the same reaction as her daughter about Carol. They all study math, and to Masuzu's surprise, Tomo proves to be a genius, completing everything from memory. Days later, the grades are published, and both Tomo and Jun perform well. However, the surprise is that Masuzu comes in second while Carol takes first. After that, Jun mentions he bought a new game and invites Tomo to spend the night at his house to play together. She happily agrees until she realizes she'll be sleeping in the same room as him, making her blush the whole day. At home, she tells her mother she'll sleep at Jun's, which Akemi misinterprets, leading her to start thinking of names for her grandchildren. Contrarily, her father doesn't mind at all and tells her not to disturb him. When they arrive at Jun's house, he mentions that his parents aren't home, which makes her even more nervous. After having dinner, Tomo goes to take a bath, wondering what will happen with them alone together at night. While drying her hair, she feels a bit embarrassed but pretends nothing is wrong. They start playing video games, but after Tomo loses, they begin to playfully argue, separating when they realize they're too close to each other. That night, Tomo sleeps on Jun's bed, while he sleeps on a futon on the floor. She takes advantage of him being asleep to observe his face up close. However, when he wakes up, he nearly faints seeing Tomo next to him, which she doesn't notice. When leaving his house, she finally remembers what happened and is filled with embarrassment. Days pass, and they can't forget about what happened. Weeks later, it's Tomo's birthday, and Jun gives her a pair of sunglasses, making her very happy. Upon arriving at school, Masuzu gives Tomo a book to help her improve her studies, while Carol gives her a gold bar. Masuzu questions if Carol shouldn't be using her money more wisely. Later, they all go to Carol's house for a makeover to make Tomo look more feminine. They succeed in changing her appearance so much that they force her to go buy ice cream at the convenience store. The boys can't help but stare at her. And to make matters worse, Jun is there too. He finds her face reminiscent of Tomo, but doesn't believe it could be his friend. When she trips, he helps her up, and then Tomo builds up the courage to ask Jun to walk with her for a bit. However, they stop to watch a kid's soccer game, where they see a boy and a girl being very close to each other. Jun asks Tomo what would happen to them when they grow up, and Tomo scoffs, saying they'll probably become sweethearts. This depresses Jun, and he mentions he's going through a similar situation, but his current goal is to defeat her. Realizing their ice cream is melting, Tomo seizes the opportunity to escape. She arrives at Masuzu's house, only to find out they've prepared a surprise party for her, which makes her very happy. Days later, the sports tournament begins, and Tomo is transferred to the boys' team because she's too strong for the girls. Jun is ecstatic to be on the same team as her, and they easily win against most opponents until they reach the finals. They feel a little worried because they'll be facing Taiki, the boy rumored to be the strongest in school and the captain of Judo's team. Before the match starts, Taiki tells Tomo she looks like a cute little girl, which makes her happy, but then he comments that he's more interested in Jun. He knows Jun isn't in any club, and if his team wins, Jun will have to join Judo's team. The match begins, and Taiki proves to be a monster, knocking out everyone except Tomo and Jun. However, when Taiki is about to strike Tomo, Jun jumps in front of the ball and gets eliminated, infuriating Tomo. In retaliation, she throws the ball but passes it to Jun instead, who manages to hit Taiki. After the tournament, Tomo reflects on how she wishes things would never change between her and Jun since she had so much fun playing on the same team. Meanwhile, Taiki challenges Jun for a few friendly matches, and although he wins most of them, he realizes that he has been avoiding using any karate techniques. Moreover, as he was leaving, Jun realized something he had always sought, to be like Tomo. With summer vacation commencing, he went out for a run, recalling the first time he met Tomo. He had just moved to Tokyo when she approached him to play. However, she was so rough that she accidentally broke his video game. This made him furious, and in a moment of anger, he punched her, which left him feeling guilty. Yet Tomo felt worse, and asked him to hit her back 100 times so they could be even. Eventually, her parents appeared to apologize, and they decided to become friends, which was quite challenging for Jun at first, since she was much more athletic than he was. Over time, he managed to keep up with her until one day, some bullies attacked Jun and stole his video game. He didn't tell Tomo, but she noticed something was wrong and confronted the bullies herself, successfully retrieving Jun's game. However, Jun felt humiliated because he thought that had the roles been reversed, he wouldn't have been able to do the same for her. So he lent his video game to Tomo and told her he would only take it back once he became stronger than she was. The next day, he began taking karate lessons from Tomo's father. Even 10 years later, he still believed he hadn't surpassed Tomo in strength, or that she thought differently about it. As summer break approached, the four friends decided to hit the beach to enjoy the sun and sea. Meanwhile, Masuzu devised a plan to have Jun see Tomo in a bikini to gauge his reaction. As expected, when he spotted her at the beach, he was overwhelmed with embarrassment and tried to avoid her as much as he could. This difficulty intensified when a boy started flirting with Tomo, compelling him to intervene. Later, as they returned home, Masuzu teased Jun, remarking that it seemed like he didn't enjoy the beach. He replied that something significant had happened, which led Masuzu to conclude that he could no longer see Tomo as just a boy. As summer vacation neared its end, Masuzu and Carol encouraged Tomo to ask Jun to the festival solo. When they approached him, he agreed, albeit not displaying his usual enthusiasm. However, when alone, we see just how happy he is. The following evening, Jun awaited Tomo's arrival and was stunned to see her in a yukata. He was so captivated by how radiant she looked that he couldn't take his eyes off her. They relished the festival together until a few boys flirted with Tomo, prompting Jun to whisk her away to a quieter spot. Tomo attempted to express her gratitude, but Jun, feeling he had intruded, apologized, believing she could have handled the situation on her own. Tomo retaliated with a punch and insisted he let her thank him properly, explaining there were things she didn't know how to do. As fireworks began to explode in the sky, Tomo sought the courage to confess her feelings, but ultimately backed down out of fear of jeopardizing their friendship. However, on their way home, Jun realized he might never be able to spar with her again, which revealed how he truly saw her as a girl now. Classes resumed, but something had shifted. Jun treated Tomo with more gentleness rather than his usual demeanor, which frustrated her. She confided in her friends about this change, and later, we see that Masuzu fears the way their relationship is progressing towards romance, worrying they might ruin everything. After class, Masuzu found herself surrounded by school delinquents who sought to get back at Tomo. She remained calm until Carol came to help her, zapping one of the assailants with a taser. This gave them a chance to escape, but as Carol stumbled, she left a trail of water leading to an abandoned factory. Subsequently, Masuzu called Jun to rescue them, instructing him not to mention anything to Tomo. But just as he was about to leave, Tomo saw him and could tell something was amiss. When he conveyed what he heard, Misaki also listened in. They arrived at the factory where Tomo took charge against the gang leader, while Jun dealt with the others. Masuzu assisted Carol in changing clothes, just as Misaki showed up and, seeing Carol in a revealing state, jumped to conclusions. During the exchange between Jun and the gang leader, Misaki appeared furious, looking like a demon ready to confront anyone who had harmed Carol. They had to hold him back until Carol could explain the situation. Amid the confrontation, Masuzu revealed that Tomo was the daughter of Goro Aizawa, a notorious former delinquent. The gang members trembled in fear, and Tomo urged them to vow to protect her and her friends. If they failed to do so, they would have to answer to Goro. After that, Jun found it suspicious that Tomo didn't bring this up earlier, and even more so, that she tried to take him to the locale alone, but she feigned innocence. The next day, Tomo waited for Jun, and this time he greeted her with more affection, which made her really happy. Days later, Misaki enrolled at Goro's dojo, hoping to get stronger, but he struggled to keep up with Tomo and Jun. To make matters worse, his first match was against Jun. He mistakenly asked Jun if he could make Tomo admire him, which annoyed Jun and led to him knocking Misaki unconscious. Later, Tomo apologized to Misaki on Jun's behalf and mentioned that she knew he wanted to become stronger for Carol. The next day, Misaki told Carol about his enrollment at Tomo's father's dojo, to which she questioned his motives. He admitted he wanted to be like Tomo and to make Carol incredibly jealous. To that end, Masuzu decided to spend time with Jun. Though he didn't get why she was doing it, he agreed but soon regretted it when he realized she was in his room. After an awkward moment, he dashed off to Tomo's house, feeling guilty. However, Carol appears behind him and apologizes to both of them. The next day, Carol shares her day with Jun with Misaki, which makes him a bit jealous. She then talks to Masuzu about this, leading her to decide to help Carol. While talking alone with Misaki, she asks if he loves her, which he clearly does after what happened at the abandoned factory. He confesses he never confessed his feelings because he believes Carol is too good for him, strong and never showing any signs of weakness. Masuzu assures Misaki she will prove to him that Carol has feelings too. However, she goes a bit too far, telling him that Misaki doesn't feel anything for her and never will, which shatters him completely, making him run home in tears. Realizing she made a mistake, Masuzu rushes to tell Misaki what happened, prompting him to go to Carol's house. Upon arriving at Carol's mansion, her mother greets Misaki with a playful headbutt. Then, he explains everything to Carol, and when he confesses his feelings, it makes her incredibly happy. However, just as she is about to kiss him, her mother interrupts. They then share tea, during which Carol's mom explains why her daughter doesn't show her emotions. Hearing from Misaki that Carol now has friends who care about her makes her like him a bit more. The next day at school, Masuzu is worried about Carol, but she appears wearing a rabbit headband, startling everyone. However, when Carol gets close, she kisses Masuzu on the cheek, making her feel giddy. On the day of the school marathon, Jun and Tomo are very excited about competing and quickly take the lead. However, as they return to school at the end of the race, Tomo faints due to a fever. Jun carries her to the infirmary, managing to win the marathon even while doing so. Tomo wakes up and sees how worried Masuzu is for her, even though the nurse assures them it's just a cold. Masuzu tells Tomo that Jun won the race while carrying her, showing how concerned he was about helping her. Later, Tomo asks Jun to carry her again because she doesn't remember the first time. He helps her to the taxi where her mother waits, assuring her he will always help her when she's in trouble. The next day, Jun visits Tomo's house to check on her, and to his surprise, she returns the video game he lent her 10 years ago. She tells him that he has shown he is stronger than her, and in that moment, Jun recalls the day he discovered Tomo was a girl. He felt embarrassed and confused about his feelings, especially when being around other boys. This discomfort made him distance himself. leading to that brief relationship with Masuzu. After some playful banter, they reconnect, promising to stay friends forever. With Jun's birthday approaching, Tomo needs money to buy him a present and decides to get a part-time job. Masuzu and Carol support her idea. Suddenly, Masaki overhears the girls and invites them to work at his family's restaurant. At first, only Masuzu manages to work well, but soon they all improve. When Jun visits the restaurant, Tomo feels embarrassed, revealing to him she's been working there for only 3 days. He decides to go to the restaurant each day she's there. After 3 days, Masaki's father thanks Tomo for her help and pays her wages. When they leave, Jun is waiting outside to escort her home, mentioning that he used to frequent the restaurant a lot. He remarks that the ramen has become much tastier since she started bringing it to him. On Jun's birthday, Tomo gives him a watch that matches hers and buys a cake for them to celebrate together. The next day, Tomo tells Masuzu that her plans are finally coming together, but she wants to get closer to him. Masuzu concocts a rather extreme plan in which she will push him down the stairs for Tomo to catch him, creating that classic romantic anime moment. However, after Masuzu shoves Jun as if intending to harm him, he dodges Tomo and falls with his hand landing upon Carol, leaving him bewildered. He then requests Tomo to punch him, which she does gleefully. After this, Masuzu reflects that she may have gone too far this time, and as divine retribution, she trips down the stairs and lands on Masaki. Still a bit dazed, she tells him to ask for anything as gratitude, but all he wants is her phone number. 3 days later, Masuzu still hasn't returned to school, claiming she has a cold. Tomo visits her friend's house but notices her avoiding them, which saddens Tomo. Just as she is about to leave, Masuzu asks her to stop overthinking things and hands her a pamphlet about the play their class will be putting on. It comes to light that Masuzu proposed to have Carol play Cinderella in the production, and everyone agreed. The next day, Masuzu confronts the other girls involved in the play, scaring them all. She takes Tomo to practice alone on the rooftop, where the protagonist has the role of the prince. Tomo feels like she's not doing well, but Masuzu encourages her to act as she always does, which improves the situation greatly. However, Masuzu can't shake off her worries that Tomo has many insecurities because when she confessed to liking Jun, the first piece of advice she gave her was to act like a girl. Days later, the students try on their costumes, and Tomo looks like a very handsome prince, while Masuzu enchants everyone dressed as a princess. Additionally, Jun is a tree, and as he tries to give Masuzu advice, he ends up falling flat on his face. On the way home, Tomo continues practicing her lines and asks Jun for help. He takes on the role of the princess, feeling nervous about doing so. As the cultural festival begins, Tomo's class presents, and the performance is a complete success. At first, Masuzu is a bit grumpy, but soon realizes that her friend has never needed to change because she's perfect as she is. Even Tomo's father appears and praises Jun's performance as a tree. Masuzu begins to see that participating in the play wasn't so bad after all. Afterwards, Tomo and Jun take a stroll through the festival, competing in games and eating at different stalls. At the end of the day, Jun invites Tomo to dance around the bonfire, and while doing so, Tomo mentions she understands that he invited her just as a friend. Days pass and winter arrives. Tomo tries to act like nothing happened, but the protagonist won't let her and asks her about the festival day. Again, she runs away. When she talks to Carol and Masuzu, they suspect something happened between them. At school, Jun speaks with Misaki, and to his surprise, their conversation goes very well, encouraging him to decide to tell Tomo how he feels. Before doing so, Jun apologizes to Masuzu for dating her in the past while still harboring feelings for Tomo back then. She understands that he was holding back due to their previous relationship, and Jun thanks her, realizing she has been trying to get him and Tomo together all this time. Afterward, Jun leaves a letter for Tomo, disguised as a challenge for a duel on the rooftop, which she accepts, leading her right into his trap. He shuts the door and asks her to hit him, admitting that he understands her confession was genuine, but he, a coward, tried to convince himself it was a lie. This infuriates Tomo, who punches him. But as she is about to leave, he confesses that he loves her too, which leaves her extremely flustered. Tomo rushes to her friends, confused and scared about what might happen to their relationship if they start dating. Masuzu gathers her courage to say it's her fault and cries, apologizing for thinking Tomo had to act more feminine. However, Tomo reassures her that it's not her fault, and expresses gratitude for being her best friend. Feeling guilty, Masuzu gives her one last piece of love advice. Go to Jun and sort things out. Afterward, Tomo runs out and finds Jun, asking him for another chance. When she asks him if he loves her again, he quickly replies that yes, he does. Tomo thinks it is all a dream but feels a bit sad, questioning whether they can still be best friends. Jun explains that they can't be a couple and best friends at the same time, but when they race up the temple stairs, he clarifies what he wants. He tells her that even as a couple, he still wants to compete with her just like they always did, because he wants her to be his best friend, rival, and girlfriend. That confession touches Tomo, and she states that she loves him too, making him so delighted that he tumbles down the stairs. Days pass, and Jun appears more relaxed, but the issue is that he acts very gentlemanly while Tomo wants to advance their relationship. Carol suggests that Tomo should kiss him. Masuzu also devises a plan for them to watch a romantic movie at the cinema during the winter break. When Tomo and Jun meet to watch the film, she gets so embarrassed just before the kissing scene that she pulls back and can't go through with it. Later, they go out for dinner and exchange their Christmas presents. He gives her a pair of earrings that look beautiful on Tomo, and she gifts him a hand-knitted scarf, which he loves so much he immediately puts on. As they walk home, Tomo feels a bit disappointed about not kissing him and suggests they go to his place. However, since his parents aren't home, they both feel awkward and can't look each other in the eye until Tomo finally can't hold back and tells him she wants to kiss him, which makes him nervous. But even though he wants to, Jun says he can't, because they aren't officially dating yet. Initially, Tomo doesn't understand the reasoning behind his words, and Jun explains that after he confessed his love, he asked for her parents' blessing. Her mother was happy to allow it, but Goro insisted that if he wanted to date Tomo, he would have to defeat him in a duel first. Tomo cannot believe what she hears and rushes home to confront her father. When she arrives, she tells him she hates him for not allowing her relationship with Jun. The next day, Jun heads to Tomo's house, but she refuses to speak to anyone throughout the winter break. Back at school, Jun attempts to talk to Tomo, but she is still upset with him for not telling her about her father's ridiculous condition. Afterward, she informs her friends of what happened, and though Tomo feels a bit pessimistic, Masuzu says something that makes her more confident. After school, she prepares to challenge her father that day. Upon leaving school, he unexpectedly appears to confront Goro, and they begin their duel. Jun has reinforcements with him, and while he is fighting, Tomo talks to Bak, who comments that he already knows what's happening and tells her to go cheer for Jun. She does so immediately. As Jun is getting hit, Tomo arrives at the dojo and declares that if he loses, she will take his place because they are a team. However, Jun doesn't plan to give up and realizes that Goro is testing him because he wants to ensure that his daughter is with someone who can protect her. Risking everything, Jun barely dodges Goro's punch and manages to land a hit on him, although it doesn't make Goro forfeit just yet. At that moment, Masuzu appears, scolding Goro to stop being foolish, and he finally accepts Jun's victory. Tomo jumps for joy, thrilled that her beloved has defeated her father. Afterward, they step outside, and Tomo is on the verge of asking him to be her boyfriend, but Jun beats her to it. As she doesn't want to be left behind, she kisses him, announcing that from now on, she will be the one to make his heart race, which makes him extremely happy. They embrace, and with this emotional ending, the first season of Tomo-Chan is a Girl concludes. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell for more great content. Comment the secret word rivals to show that you're a true fan of Tomo-Chan as a girl. We love hearing your thoughts, so let us know what your favorite moment was in the comments below. See you next time.